There we go.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Oh, so second video for this year. So much has been happening that I think more frequently we should be doing a video. For one, what are we doing Sunday? Seeing a counselor. We're going to see a counselor here.
I was going to answer.
And
you asked me and I was going to answer.
Well, I didn't it's all right. To be very honest, I don't know. So it's funny because I'm a life coach. I'm not a counselor, but I'm a life coach. And I tend to like to see people short term, like 3 sessions, and put you out there and you start to integrate what I've taught you. And when I think of counseling for us, I just think of it's going to go on and on and on and on. And I'm trying to figure out what that all is about for me. So there's that, and we signed up. I don't know if we had signed up on Patrick Teahan, Teahan, on his membership online group for trauma survivors. I really love his program. I love his videos. I like his information. It always seems like everything he says, it's like, oh yeah, that's me. That's my life. That's how I feel. So we signed up on that, and I downloaded all the stuff, and we have our you don't have your notebook up here. Have our notebooks, and he does journal prompts of stuff. And then we've also started doing the inner child dialoguing, and that's where you write with your left hand, and your adult asks your inner child, a question, and they go back and forth and dialogue back and forth, and the inner child is able to. Do you want to give your experience of that?
I just drew a blank.
Okay, he's in blank mode. And so another thing that really has come up for me in the last 2 weeks is, and this is really my personal journey, which there's my journey and his journey and our individuation piece. And if you followed all the other videos, you know that we started out with that, of the trying to individualize and be separate people instead of, we got together when we were 15 and 17 and we really bonded, and they call it trauma bonding, and codependency. There's all of that in there. But we took my Bronco in, and it became very evident, and it was in the shop for 2 weeks, having different things done to it. And I had no wheels. I had no way to leave, to escape. And it became very evident. It was on a Monday night that we dropped it off, and I was having a lot of anxiety already. Monday night, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, it was hell. It was really, really tough to not have a way to get away. And so all of that brought up my fear, and safety. And then I try to go into the logical thinking. What is the logical thinking? What are you afraid of? What are you running from? Realize that I not only have the 3 amigos, which are, I kindly call my 3 amigos, which are my 3 addictions, but I have a 4th one, and that's the running. And I can laugh at it today. It's been 2 and a little bit over 2 weeks, a day over 2 weeks. But of course I have that. I've done that my whole life. I run. And so I had to really start to come to terms with what is all of that about. And I had to sit, literally, because our focus has 3 low tires on it, and there's the engine lights on. There's something wrong with it. The white truck needs a pin in the door, and I can't physically shut the door. You have to roll the window down and be able to reach it from the outside, and so there's that. So I really had no no way to leave the house, and so I had to sit with myself and my feelings, and I did do some journaling. I got into a different routine. It was very different not to go first thing in the morning. And yeah, there's always errands to run and things to do and videos to watch. See, the other thing that's right there on the edge is that video watching where I can check out of my life. Even though it's good educational videos, it's not like watching somebody play a game, which I know people do. But it was definitely I can justify it in my head that they're educational videos. There are videos about astrology. There are videos about the human design system and how I fit into that system. But it's still not being an adult. See, and that being an adult is still really hard. And if you're a trauma survivor and you have a hard time paying your bills on time and finishing projects and being consistent and keeping your floors clean and keeping your laundry up and your dishes. My sister used to, I've really been missing my sister, by the way. She would not do dishes, and she would end up throwing the dishes away because they were so gross. And I used to think, when I didn't know as much as I know now, I was just like, what is that? What is that? Well, it's trauma. It's trauma. It's dysfunctional trauma stuff that runs our lives. And we try to be adults and do the right thing and look good, to the world and to society, when really everything is falling apart. So, those are things I had to. It's your turn to talk.
Kind of a tough act to follow.
No. Just give your opinion of where you're at and what you think about the counseling and Patrick's stuff.
Well, the stuff that Patrick talks about is extremely poignant for me. I don't know. I'm tired of all the stuff from the past haunting my present, and that goes for me personally, that goes for our relationship, that goes for all of what Amelia was talking about, really. I mean, and when I really look at some of the information that Patrick has, it's like, well, that makes perfect sense. And it's funny because I know people that if you haven't gone through some of the trauma, it's probably impossible to understand. And my Cody, he very clearly says, "Well, Dad, that's in the past. Just leave it there." Well, there are those things called triggers, and
well, I think that's why I think that's why we finally got to the point of going to a counselor. And I've been unclear until now, which is interesting, to help with our communication. When you have two people that have had as much trauma as he's had and that I've had, I'm going to say it's next to almost impossible to navigate your way through it. If you're not drinking at it and drugging at it and checking out of your life so that you don't have to deal with it, dealing with it, I think you would agree. We found ourselves in a spot a couple of weeks ago where every single thing was being a trigger. He could say something, he could look a certain way, he could do something, and it would trigger me. I could say something, I could do something, I could act a certain way, and it would trigger him. And it's a trigger on a trigger on a trigger on a trigger, and it's exhausting for one. It's extremely hard to navigate, to figure out, and we're learning as we're doing these processes. We're learning to um, be the adult. See, you have to be in your adult in order to do the healing work. You can't be in the child. The child has is just not the responsible one. Um,
The
so
child wants to eat ice cream every day
yes,
and
the child wants
gets you
to
to be
drink.
350 pounds. And
The child wants to watch
to
TV.
watch TV, check out. There's all kinds of ways to do it. The one of the things I want to mention, you were just trigger, trigger, trigger. A lot of people may not even know what we mean by that. And I don't know that I really understood it until I started to recognize, like, one of the things that have become aware of is, be that as it may, my mother left us when I was 6 years old. There was a lot of circumstances. I don't necessarily blame her, but the reality of it is that little child was abandoned. And Amelia, having a steadfast, you take care of you, me take care of me, she keeps saying the word individuation. That triggers my abandonment, because my partner, in a lot of ways, I feel has abandoned me, which is totally, if you go back to our videos that we made right after I got off the road, I was really thrilled because I thought I was going to be able to have my partner in my life with me the way I would like my partner in my life with me. And so those are triggers. That's a trigger that I really wasn't aware of. So anyway.
No, and I think that's part of why we need a counselor, why we need a third party, so that he can get validation that I'm not able to give at the moment. I want nothing to do with intimacy or any of that. I feel like I'm a child, and a 3 and a 4 and a 12-year-old child doesn't need to be intimate. As an adult, I'm just not there. I'm not capable of doing that. So having the counselor have a third party, and he needs to start to, and we've both realized this, that we both need to start to develop friendships. And it's really hard to develop friendships. And for years, well, forever, since he was on the road, we always gave ourselves the out that, oh, he's busy, or, oh, he's out of town, we can't, make that party, or we can't go to that dinner, and forever it was that. And now I think you would agree that we've uncovered that it's just really difficult for either one of us to have a really close friendship because we have trust issues, and we have vulnerability issues, and we have honesty issues, and there's just a whole lot of stuff piled on that it's just really hard to have a really close, intimate friendship. And it seems like the ones that I've had in the last, say, 15 years, they would end, and I would be left sitting back going, what happened? So I would be like, what did I do? What happened? Why did that fall apart? And doing this trauma work and stuff, I was living in a fantasy world, living and having those relationships that I thought were close, that I thought were good. They were nice women friendships, and then they would fall apart, and I would be going, what happened? And some of it's their stuff, and some of it I believe in perfect timing. But I was still living in fantasy land about what the relationship actually was. And it always seemed like there was a lot of like the groups, they would all ask questions of each other, but nobody would ask me questions. And then I was just like, I'd be okay with that. Like, okay. Which fed into my theme of I don't count, I don't matter, I'm not important, um, I'm not worthy. So I wanted to go back to the trigger thing that so what you do with that, and I'm really steadfast on solutions, like giving solutions. Like I don't want to just leave people out there hanging, wondering what they should do with triggers. And Patrick teaches this, and we got this from Nicole and in that book, and the other CPTSD book, CPTSD, yeah. Um, so when a trigger comes up, and this is why it's so exhausting, and what we were figuring out a couple weeks ago was, trigger on top of trigger on top of trigger on top of trigger, is you have to be the adult. You have to be in your adult to stop things and say, and you have an agreement with your partner. Okay, I got to go in the bedroom and journal for 5 minutes because that just really, and I've been able to the last, I'm going to say 3 months, stop myself from getting triggered and then getting into the emotion of screaming or yelling, or I just kind of I shut down, which is not healthy either. But I will remove myself from the situation, and I'll go think and journal about what just happened. Like I just had this happen with one of my sons the other night, and my reaction is my responsibility. And as the adult, you need to then look at the trigger, and that's where the dialoguing, I'm trying to pull all this together, that's where the dialoguing with the inner child helps. When you set aside time to do that, you can then go back and revisit the trigger and say, okay, how were you feeling when that happened? What, this is your dialoguing with your inner child. What was going on for you? Do you want to share what you figured out this morning about the holding your breath piece?
No, because I'm not.
Okay.
Well, I'm still not really sure what it has to do with. So
I'm pretty sure it has to do with exactly what you said it had to do with.
Well, we've been doing the Wim Hof, and I had never had an issue. And if you don't know the Wim Hof breathing technique, and you hold your breath for a minute, and then it goes up to a minute and a half. And I never had an issue. But I've been struggling getting to a minute, and I had a flashback to back when my father was beating my mother, and I would hide in this little bitty trunk that if you saw it, you would say you couldn't even fit. I kind of curious where that trunk is, but I feel like I sometimes didn't breathe real well in that trunk. And anyway, so that was it. That's what I feel like that Wim Hof was kind of triggering in me. I don't know. I know it's weird.
And he might do the dialoguing with his inner child.
Well, I will, but
yeah.
And so just for clarity, because you keep saying the dialogue, so what you do is you use your left hand if you're right-handed. The child writes with the left hand.
Non-dominant hand.
Non-dominant hand.
Whichever
sure.
one that is.
And then the adult asks the questions with your dominant hand, and that's kind of the way.
And in the future, we can do a video where we're actually like maybe reading through some of the stuff that we could share, so that you can see better. And you can also check out Patrick Teahan on YouTube. Any of his videos, and I would put Patrick Teahan dialoguing maybe, and one of his videos will come up that'll explain it maybe even better.
What's our time goal?
I don't know. We didn't have one, but we could be. This was enough. I feel like this video's got enough in it. So, yeah. So we're carrying on, and we're still working, and it's a lot of work, and it's taking time, and I didn't anticipate, and I know he didn't. it taking this long. And I will be back to let you know how the counseling session went on Sunday, and see what we think about that. I'm gonna have to take my coach hat off. Definitely just be
The problem is
me.
Amelia already knows everything that the counselor is going to say, and then if the counselor, so we had this experience once back in the past, and the particular counselor, Tamara, I know you know who I mean, um, didn't side with Amelia as much as Amelia expected. Is that fair to say?
No, she
No?
had something for him.
Oh.
And I just was like, you are not going to let him off the hook. That's how it went. That's how I saw it. Is she just believed everything he had to say, and he was right, and he should have gone on this thing that we.
That was your sister, by the by.
No.
Sister recommended, I mean.
Well, but you went, and I mean, it was a whole mess. It was a shit show. You talk about a shit show. I was just like, and then we went to counseling over the incident, and that gal was just like, he could do no wrong. He could, I mean, there was just nothing.
Well,
everything
I am a pretty
was
good guy.
Well, but it wasn't about that. She could not see. She didn't validate me at all, which I needed some validating at that point, and I wasn't getting it from anywhere. So anyway, we'll see how this goes. This is a gal, and maybe we need to see a guy, but we've seen Chris Fry, and I don't know. We'll see. All right, you guys have a good day, and
Good day.
Hopefully we'll see you sooner this time than, I don't know, it's been weeks.
Weeks. I
Probably
can't even
months.
remember the last time we did this, so I think more than weeks.
Yeah.
Months.
All right, we'll see ya. Have a good day. Bye.